Welcome back, serial killers, to another deep dive into the files of Saturday Morning Confidential. Now, this is our first anime episode, which is shocking to me. And for doing my first anime episode in my girl power season, there was but one person I could talk about, and she's a girl named Sailor Moon. And to talk about Sailor Moon, there was but one person I had to, that I knew that I had to bring on, a real life Sailor Mercury. I have with me today Holly Scott. Holly, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Oh my God, this is amazing. This is your first anime show?
This is the first anime episode. I mean, because we've done a couple like 80s things that were animated by Korean studios, but they were American shows. But yeah, this is like I played with doing a Miyazaki episode, but we ended up doing Drop Dead Gorgeous instead. So this is like my first anime episode. And there were a couple other ones I wanted to do, but then when I would like, we're doing kind of like a woman power season this year that I was like, we have to do Sailor Moon. Like we have to do Sailor Moon.
Yeah. Ironically, I'm actually watching all of the Ghibli films now, like every single one not in order, but like just kind of as I feel. So if this was a secret Miyazaki one, I'd be like, I'm ready for it. You can't trick me. I'm good.
I love that. So why don't you introduce yourself to everyone listening and tell them who you are?
Yeah, so I'm Holly Megan Scott, or Holly Scott's fine. You don't have to put the Megan in there if you don't want to, but I like it for IMDb. I am a comedian. I am a singer. I am an actress. I'm a writer. I am pretty much any kind of performing arts that's out there, with the exception of like dancing, because I'm not very good at that. And even that I would try. But mostly I'm also an anime aficionado, and specifically a Sailor Moon aficionado, specifically a Sailor Mercury aficionado, but we won't get that granular quite yet. I mean, we might talk about that later, but yeah, I am someone who's a lot of fun, and I like to have fun and talk about fun things. So I'm happy to be here.
I love it. No, Holly loves Sailor Mercury in a way that like this past summer when I was in Pennsylvania and I knew there was some new Sailor Moon stuff dropping that I found, and I was like, Holly, look what I found. I have to send this to you.
Matty, I have to tell you, there's a store in, I don't know if they have it back east or wherever, but in California, it's called Book Off. It's actually from Japan, and they have them out here. It's like Japanese themed stores, and they have figures, anime figures. And I found that set, specifically the one that you sent to me. I found that set there, and they're all worth $100 or more. Like they've skyrocketed in price.
Well, it's because they didn't make many of them. I actually back at right after I was in Pennsylvania, I went home, like I was driving back down south, and I had picked up Jupiter because she's just kind of my favorite of the beginning five, and they had everybody but Jupiter, and I went, you know what? I'm going to pick these up. And I'm so happy I did, because right after that, they become impossible to find. And even though Sailor Moon merchandise has become mass available recently, it's not always good, much like in the 90s, it was not always good. So I love anytime that there's something inexpensive but adorable. And so those being like $10 a piece was great. And they're beautiful, like for a figure of that kind, they are beautifully like decorated, and they're super cute. So I was happy to find those.
Surprisingly, like even though they do mass produce a lot of stuff, they get bought almost immediately, because Sailor Moon is the anime that people recognize, even if you're not an anime fan. You know about Studio Ghibli, you know about Sailor Moon thanks to the Bare Naked Ladies song from back in the 90s. You're like, yes, Sailor Moon got that cartoon that got the boom. Although that's very, I once I realized that and watched the show and go, oh, that's not good. That's not a good thing to talk about. But that is a lot of the recognition of the world was that, and Toonami. Like when we were all kids, you're watching Toonami, you watch Dragon Ball Z, you watch Cowboy Bebop, and you watch Sailor Moon, and that was boom, boom, boom. You know? Well,
because I also find a lot of people have two recollection of Sailor Moon. They kind of snuck out to watch the Deke version at like 5:30 in the morning when it was syndicated on UPN, or they would watch it when they came home from school because it was something they and their like siblings of different genders could all watch together, because the boys would watch Sailor Moon because they were like, oh, well, Dragon Ball Z is coming on. And the girls are like, oh, I guess I'll sit and watch Dragon Ball Z. But they were like, at least you get to watch Sailor Moon first. So I'm in the camp of, I remember because we had an antenna growing up. People have heard this story on the podcast before, but like we had 5 channels. But sometimes early in the mornings and late at night we would get like a 6 channel, and it would be UPN would come in pretty good. And so in the morning, if I was up early enough, I would catch some episodes of Sailor Moon, and they also showed Jim and the Holograms early in the morning as well. So like very deep coding for me as a little gay boy, well, the little queer person. Let me correct myself there, little queer person. So for you, what is your kind of earliest memories of Sailor Moon, and how did like it connect with you?
So you're gonna think I'm crazy right now because of the amount of Sailor Moon fandom that I've fallen into, but I actually didn't watch Sailor Moon as a child.
I love
Believe
that.
it or not. Believe it or not, for those who don't recognize the fact that my voice is a little deeper, I am a proud trans woman. And when I was a child, I didn't really have the chance to really watch a lot of feminine things because it wasn't available to me at the time. And I didn't have cable because we weren't rich. So I didn't really have a way to watch Toonami and Cartoon Network. Or if I did, it would be, you know, I'd be doing something else at school and I have a chance to watch. So I knew about it and I always wanted to watch it, and I liked the aesthetic of it. Like that was one thing I remember, is like, this is for me in my developing little trans brain, this is a beautiful thing that I gravitate towards. Like I love the way it looks, not realizing that it pioneered the whole monster of the week genre for anime, not realizing that it was the first kind of crossover non-gendered story, and not realizing that the fact that the Deep Dug completely erased the fact that it's one of the most queer shows on television. All of those things come into play later on in my life, but like at the time I was like, that's pretty, one day I'll watch that. And then fast forward to like maybe 5 years ago, and this is how recent I started watching Sailor Moon. 5 years ago, I was in a party and I was like hanging out, and I was like, I really need to watch Sailor Moon. And they're like, you need to do this. You should go do it. It's a lot of fun. And I'm like, okay. And I had Hulu at the time, and I'm like, you know what? I have time. I've got the ability to binge this like straight through. It's 300 episodes for the original series, and then I can watch Crystal right afterwards. Let's go. Let's do this, right? And I sat down, and the minute I watched episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, and I was like hooked. And by that point, if you've watched the original series, you haven't even met Ray at that point.
Yeah, literally.
Like, you won't meet Ray until like episode 6, and you don't meet Jupiter Mako until like episode 12 or something of his first season. And like you've met Venus, but you didn't really know you met Venus because it's like, oh, it's Sailor V, you know, whatever.
Sailor V.
So like, but I'm watching him like, I get this. And here's the thing, I don't like Monster of the Week shows. I don't really like shows from the 90s that much, but for some reason, Sailor Moon doesn't feel like that. It never felt like that. I was like, this is an interesting show that I like watching. I love the message, and I love the characters. The characters are so well defined, specifically Mercury at the time, which is why I kind of grabbed onto her, because for the first 10 or so episodes, you get Usagi, who's the whiny crybaby, and you get Mercury, who is like the sweetheart angel genius girl. And they're like, well, I'm clearly the sweetheart angel genius girl, so that's clearly what I want.
Clearly.
And so that's kind of where I fell into it. And then the worldwide panini happened, and I had literally nothing to do for, you know, any amount of time. So I just rewatched Sailor Moon again. I'm like, well, I could go and watch these other anime, and I did. I watch a lot of anime. I don't know if you can tell. I watch a lot of anime. But I wanted to watch this again. And then that's when I realized like this is beyond something that I enjoy. This is deeper than that. Like this is something that I actually resonate with. I have reasons, I have got thoughts, I've got things that make me angry about the show, and things that make me very happy about this show. And so that really kind of started taking over. And then I started like applying everything I've learned on the show, which didn't even have, because I watched the Viz dub, it didn't even have like Sailor Moon Says or anything. There were more morals, but I wasn't force fed them. Like I learned them from watching as an adult. And I was like, I get this on a deeper level. And it really unlocked a lot of doors for me. It unlocked the anime world, and unlocked Japan in general. It made me really want to go to Japan, which I still do. But it also helped me find my version of femininity, like color, style, fashion, friendship, you know, all of these things that are really strong in me and my femininity are born of me enjoying Sailor Moon. and I will never forget that.
I
And
love that.
it's become an identity for me. It's become part. People know me. This is the best thing, Matty. People don't know me anymore as, oh, you're the trans girl. They're like, you're the Sailor Moon girl. I'm like, that's way better. Yeah, I am the trans girl, but I am also the Sailor Moon girl, and that's more important. And now they're like, you're the Sailor Mercury girl. I'm like, you better fucking believe it.
Better believe it. Well, because you recently went to a convention and cosplayed Mercury, yeah?
It was okay, so that was a long time dream of mine, was to cosplay any of the Senshi, but specifically Mercury. And I had actually got the costume for Halloween. I did it for Halloween. It's kind of like a tester to see if I could wear it comfortably, which no. but I was like, okay, well, I got this in the closet. It's in there. So if I ever future want to like do this again, I will. And then I was gifted a pass to WonderCon. And the first day I went, I have a group of friends that do Bob's Burgers cosplays. And you
did Linda, right? You did Linda.
Yeah, I did Linda. This is the first year. Every year previous that we've done that, I'd done Jean. And now that I've transitioned or started the transition process, I can't really say started. Now that I'm midstream in the transition process, I didn't want to do Jean anymore. And they're like, well, you could do Linda. And I'm like, well, I can do the voice already. So I'm like, let's go. But then I was like, I thought it was a one-day thing. And then somebody was like, I've got passes for day 2 if you want to go. And I'm like, well, I can't just go and not cosplay. What do I have? And I'm like, I looked at my closet. I'm like, do I want to do Sailor Mercury? Like, do I want this right now? Like, that's a lot of heat because I'm not physically where I necessarily want to be size wise. I'm still working on that. But then again, cosplays for everybody, and fuck body hatred people, whatever they're called. Don't care. They're stupid. People that don't like people doing fun things, no matter what the body shape. So I just said, you know what? Fuck this. Like, people are going to love it or hate it, but I'm going to love it. So I'm going to do it. And then I did, and I had a great time. It was uncomfortable as fuck because it was a really short skirt and I'm tall. And this thing it's from Wish. My costume, my Senshi outfit, my fugu is from Wish. It's a $15 outfit. It's not like pro made or anything, but it looked good enough that I was like, this is passable, that I can get away with this.
But see, as long as like, as far as the Sailor Moon costumes I've seen, it looks good. And you got adorable pictures, which is really all that matters. Right. The pictures at the end of the day is literally all that matters.
I'm lucky to have met a lot of professional photographers from doing different cosplays and going to a lot of cons, and so they were able to take what I had and make it look somewhat like good. And I'm like, okay, I like this. And now I have two Instagram accounts, one of them being my cosplay only Instagram account, and it's Holly Mercury Cosplay. I don't want to plug it, but like I'll say it.
Plug it, no, plug away.
And that's got that, and my official one, which I won't plug because who knows the internet, but they both have me as Sailor Mercury on the cover art, the profile picture. So I'm like, cool, this is something that's now become synonymous with me, and I'm more than okay with that. I
love that so much. So like, I love that you brought up the idea of like the styles and the fashions and the colors, because I'm shocked that more like Gen Z TikTokers are sleeping on Sailor Moon, because like it's amazing that anime is popular for the first time ever. And for a lot of us who were like high school anime fans, and now the other day someone I work with who's a little older than me was like, I'm a little mad that anime is popular now because I got bullied for it, but I'm also really excited that anime is popular now because now kids don't get bullied for it. Like, I love that so much.
Yeah, that person walks so anime can run, right? Like, we're fine. So like, I'm cool with I know I respect that person's sacrifice for the greater good of anime.
Absolutely. Like, you know what? It's one of those things, but like, to me, one of the standout things about the show, and it's in every season and even in the most filler of episodes, is the styles that the girls turned are just incredible. And honestly, if all you focused on was Sailor Moon cosplay, you would never be able to do every incredible look between now and the end of time, because like, you've got their cute maid cafe, like there are just so many wonderful, I mean, even like, I have a friend who's Marge cosplayer. And one of my favorite things that she will just casually wear to conventions is the pink overall
Oh my god!
outfit.
I knew you were gonna say the pink one. I was like, the pink overalls with the white shirt.
The pink overalls are iconic. They are so good. But even getting
pout.
But even like getting into the later seasons, like when we meet Mercury and Uranus in their school uniforms that are those like burgundy, black, and olive uniforms are so.
Neptune and Uranus.
Oh yeah, Neptune. Yeah. Neptune and Uranus. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep doing that often. But even like when Usagi wore them as like when she was like undercover, like everybody looked so cute in them. I mean, and even we're gonna put a pin in when I say and the villain style, chef's kiss.
Well, there's a big reason for that, right? Like a massive reason for that is that Naoko Takeuchi, the mangaka, the writer for the manga, was gonna be a fashion designer. Like she was interested in fashion and just kind of backdoor fell into. She was into. This is an amazing story that Sailor Moon exists because Naoko Takeuchi had all these dreams of fashion and wanted friends. So she wrote a story about friends that she wanted that wore the clothes that she liked. And it became Sailor Moon. Massive.
I love that so much. Honestly, I mean, because fashion is such a cutthroat industry. As a costume designer myself, even it's like working in garment design is so cutthroat that it's like, why not design adorable comic book characters in the clothing that you want to design and just put it on them? Like it's fine. Like just do that.
And all those clothes, they're like 90s clothes, but they're not like out of fashion. Like if I walk down the street in any of those outfits, people are like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Not out of place for 90s at all.
Absolutely. That's why, because 90s have been kind of cyclically back around. I was like, the fact that we don't have more like Sailor Moon collab lines in a lot of like fast fashion stores is a disappointment, but also I would be angrier if they happened because I wouldn't be able to wear most things. So
Same.
Yeah, so there is such a rich heritage of Sailor Moon. The series was six series long, correct? Because it's
so the original run was 5 series long.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sailor Moon, Sailor Moon R, Sailor Moon S, Sailor Moon Super S,
and Sailor Moon Stars. Yeah,
or Sailor Stars. Then you also have 2 seasons. Well, technically 3 seasons, but 2 seasons of Crystal plus the movies, which are technically a 3rd season, if you want to cap it like that. So you have that, but that's just a retelling of the same story. Fun fact, though, you mentioned filler earlier. If you watch, I don't know if you've watched Crystal at all. Please tell me you.
Okay, I haven't watched the S season. So when we get the outers, I watched the first 2 seasons.
Okay, so of the new series.
Yeah, of the new series. Yeah, no, I've seen the complete. I've seen all the way up through Sailor Stars of the original multiple times. So
perfect. So the filler episodes were because they wanted more content for the other, like the TV stations did, because like we can't go by what's in the manga. The manga's only 12 issues long. 12
it's so short. Yeah.
So they went through and were like, well, we'll add a bunch of these fun little stories. But the thing is, they are filler, but they're not unwanted filler, because they serve a very important purpose that you watch if you watch Crystal, which is it really builds all of the girls' characters individually. It gives them a chance to shine individually, so that by the time the end of season 1 comes, and spoilers for Sailor Moon season 1 if you haven't seen it, but please do.
It's 30 years old at this point. It's fine.
One, they didn't know if they were going to get a season 2. They all die.
Yep.
Everyone dies. And they're magically reborn again. This is part of the best part about Sailor Moon, is that it's so bonkers that this is now the 2nd time they're reborn into their body. But you've watched so much this season and you care so much about each of these girls on individual levels that when they die, it's sad.
It's like, so sad,
heartbreaking. And you're like, no. And then you don't know if she's gonna come back with tuxedo mask, and all their friends are dead, and they used her power to all this great stuff to help her beat Beryl and the evil. I'm so emotional about it. That like it's such a good moment, because it's like it's nice in friendship. And then the next season they're like, well, we're cleared for another series, so let's bring them back. But they don't just say, oh, we're back, we came back. They have to reawaken again. So like there's a whole like little mini arc in the beginning of season 2, which also that whole alien and arc in the tree doesn't happen in the manga. It's a whole written for TV thing. But that beginning of that arc is them waking up, like, oh, we're back, we're alive. I don't remember anything, but now I do, kind of thing. A wonderful piece of like little writing that they did to try to go through it. But if you watch Crystal, none of that's there, because it is the all killer, no filler. This is the truest to the manga version of this show. And it is episode 1 is Usagi, episode 2 is Mercury, episode 3 is Ray, and like boom, boom, boom down the line until you get later on into the season. But they do fix a lot of things that the TV show kind of skewed off. And I'm happy for that. We'll talk about that.
We will. Yeah, I know. I don't know. Yeah, well, we probably will, because I think it's hard anytime you get a reboot that is so interesting on its own, but so different, while still maintaining the heart of the source material. Because again, with anime, we have to reference the manga, we have to reference the original series. And then like when you have, or it's even, I was with a friend the other day and they were like, oh, I just haven't thought about anything new Cardcaptor Sakura that was created. And I was like, well, we had a couple new movies. Like they're continuing that kind of, they're continuing those thoughts. And so anytime that you've got the new stuff that's still based in the old series, you still kind of have to reference it. And so I would love to talk Crystal as part of this, just because I really enjoyed Crystal, despite the wonky animation a little bit in season 1.
Only in season 1. They fixed it in the later seasons.
They did. Well, I mean, and I think you could tell, like, because from the original announcement of Crystal to the launch of Crystal was so close, like it was so fast. But even then it didn't bother me, because again, there are certain worlds with characters that I always want to live in, and they were trying to still tell a really killer story, like wonderful story of the same character. So I was like, I just want to live in this world, so gladly bring it in any more time, because Queen Beryl's so fabulous, and the delicious Dark Knights are all so wonderful. It's one of those things that I was like, even if it's just the first season, it's fine. And then we got the second season with the Dark Moon family, and I was like, those queens, yes, those queers and queens, absolutely.
It's just a series like one another of a groups of really just fabulous villains. Boom, 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 and they're all a little bit more queer than the next, and a little bit more queer than the next, and I'm okay with all of it.
Oh, absolutely. So let's kind of throw in, because there's a lot to talk about, because there's also 3 movies from the original, which they spin off of the series, and it's the same characters, but they kind of, when they bring back, they don't always reference them again in the next season. Though the Sailor Moon R movie, if you like really gay boy anime, I'm just gonna say that shit's so gay. Mamoru, bisexual icon. I'm gonna say that Mamoru is why I am into chaos twinks that are dark haired and pale complexion of any race, because it's because to me, I was like, when they were doing Angel on Buffy, I was like, I've already seen this in Sailor Moon and they did it better with like the Angel Angelus, the dark Mamoru, and it's what so let's jump in. There's so much to cover. So what are, just for you, we've talked some art and some things, what are some things that just for you would be the first thing that just stands out, that sets this series apart, about something that's so stellar and so special?
The thing that sets me apart, the first thing off the top from episode number 1, the best part about Sailor Moon is the fact that they don't try to make Usagi this overpowered person. They should, the first line is like, hi, I'm Usagi Tsukino, I'm 14 years old, I'm a crybaby and a klutz. Boom, first sentence, you already know that she cries a lot and she falls down. And then later on, you realize, oh, she eats way too much food, but that's amazing. We love that. So like all these things are like, they're, instead of saying this is the hero of the universe and this is the person that will save everything, which she eventually does, they're just like, hey, I'm a normal 14-year-old girl. That's fine. I'm not very good at school, but I still have fun with my friends, because that's what children are. They're not good at school and they have fun with their friends. So like the fact that you've established this adorable anti-hero as your hero immediately is like, boom. And now we get to meet her friends in succession. And that's the other thing that stands out to me a lot, is the fact that like friendship is such a big part of the show. Like, yes, it's Monster of the Week. Yes, they have a bunch of powers. Yes, one of them controls water and has an IQ of 300 allegedly. Yes, one of them is super spiritual, can see the future and controls fire. Yeah, all that's true. But honestly, they're only doing it because they just want to have a good time with the people that they love, and they do. And this is someone actually. We're talking about card. You talked about Cardcaptor Sakura earlier. I tried to watch Cardcaptor Sakura and I couldn't get into it. And there was my friend's like, I thought you love this. You love that aesthetic. I'm like, I do love that aesthetic. It's very cute. But here's the difference. I don't know who her friends are. I don't know anything about her. I just know that she found a book and now she's beating things with cards. That's all I know about her. I need to know more about Sakura. I know everything I need to know about Usagi within the first 5 minutes of the show.
Absolutely. And they also do a really nice job of building the world of the story. And we only know as much as we need to at any given time, and it keeps getting broader and broader when we need it to get broader, which is something I love about it. They just redubbed Cardcaptor Sakura, and it going back and visiting it again, it's really difficult because they took some nuances out. But again, that's a very small spectrum of like, you've got this kid that shows up out of nowhere. You've got her best friend who clearly loves her. And then her clearly gay brother and his ethereally beautiful best friend and their mysterious, gorgeous dad. Like, it's just really hot people with hot mystical powers, but they're all like between 8 and 16. So like, it's very strange. Like, it's very strange, but they don't Clamp didn't focus on as much of making her as likable as they kind of as this company did with Sailor Moon kind of right off the bat, because also it really flipped a lot of like what girls are supposed to be on its head, which is something that I actually really appreciate about the show.
Yeah.
I mean, because even just to them like playing in the arcade after school, to like all these little things that are just so great, or like Usagi eating all the time. That's the first time that I like was like, oh, I want to eat like Japanese food all the time because it always looks so good. And then, I mean,
I go to the Crown Cafe and find that place and eat the hell out of whatever ice cream treats they're making there, because they all look good. Every single time they're there, they all look good.
Listen, I work for Universal, and I keep screaming every year that I was like, bring the cool Japan festival here, please. Just because I was like, I just want the Sailor Moon Cafe with all the beautiful treats that look beautiful and delicious and all the cute things that I refuse to pay resellers for. I'm not paying $60 for a popcorn bucket, but God damn it, do I want it.
As someone who has bought things from resellers, don't do it. It's not worth it.
It's not, well, I never do. I would also typically buy the like knockoff stuff AliExpress and be like, I spent $8 on this because it is for me, and that's all I need.
They have these, I don't know if you see them, but they're a soda company out of Taiwan called Ocean Bomb. Has Sailor Moon sodas, and they sell them exclusively at Asian markets, and they don't stock them very much. So of course I had to have them.
Oh, like, of course.
At least Sailor Moon, and I had to have Sailor Mercury. Like, I had to have them. So I went to, there's a store in California called 99 Ranch Market, which seemed to be the only place that was selling them that wasn't like a mom and pop that I didn't know about. So I'm like, okay, I know where the ranch markets are. I'm going to find it. And I went to, I shit you not, 7 or 8 different ranch markets throughout the Southern California area, all the way from Irvine, California and Deep Orange County, all the way to Van Nuys in LA. And I got my cans for $2.99 each, but was it worth the gas? Yes, it was.
Fanny, it was.
Because the other option was going on to Amazon and paying $15 a can for this shit. And I'm like, no, so that's great that you can go out there and buy this stuff, but sell it for close to retail price. Don't sell it for this stupid markup. Resellers bug me.
Stop being a shitbag scalper. Like I've collected toys and things my whole life, and like if I resell things, I always make sure it's fair, or I put them up for auction and let people destroy themselves. Like I let people, I start it with whatever the original price was, and then I let people destroy themselves. But like if I make a profit, it's great. But also typically I just want to make sure that like another fan is able to get things instead of these people that are just hoarding them to resell them. Like that's what's Like I will always, like, anytime I go to Target or Walmart, I will look in every nook and cranny that someone could hide something good in, because I want to take someone's joy and make it my joy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, I did Funko Pops for a long time, and that was one of the struggles, was finding the Funko Pops that I wanted. And now I'm glad that I'm kind of on the back end of that. I'm starting to sell them off a little bit, which
Me
is
too.
good. But like, but before it was like, oh, that struggle was so hard. But now I'm getting to the point where it's like I don't have any more room for anything. Like I've completely. So there's things that I want. Like I want to get all the Sailor Mercury figures, and I have a good chunk of them. Like I would say I probably have 65% of the Sailor Mercury figures that are on the market right now. The ones I don't have are like really rare or really expensive, which I don't have the money for. But like anything else is like, if it's something that I want and it's there and I can afford it, I'll buy it, but I'm not going to go hunting for it.
Right.
Because I know that if I go hunting for it, I'm just making it easier for the crooked resellers to make money on the market. And I say crooked resellers because there are some actual resellers that are not crooked. They're just kind of doing it. They're buying old stuff and reselling it for value. It's the ones that go in and oh, there's a limit of 2 per person. Well, I'm going to bring 15 people in and pay them $20 each so they can so I can get 6 or 10 or whatever. I used to work at the Apple store, and we used to have this with iPhones all the time. And Disney has it all the time too. And that bugs me. It's just freaking nightmare.
Well, and it's just making it so much harder for people, because like I'm the same way. I've become, the older I've gotten, instead of being very broad with my collecting, I've started getting very specific. So like I love Power Rangers, but I only collect Pink Ranger stuff. Like that's my thing. Or with Funko, I'm very specific about, like, if it's a female character that I love, it's typically what I'm going to get. Now of course, with all the new Scarlet Witch stuff, I'm just like, oh god, they're so expensive, but I love her so much. Or thankfully, like I like characters like, we'll get to her, but like Wicked Lady, which there's very little merch of. So thankfully I own most of the things, because there are only 12 items really that have ever been made.
There's more than you think, but yeah,
there are. But I mean, well, now, because you've got all the little mini figures and the like hanging figures, and I've got, of course, her one Funko Pop and those things. But like I was even at Box Lunch the other day, and they have the 90s style, like just plush that are just like them as plush that have the little danglers. And I went, oh god, I remember when these were $6.99 at KB Toys in 1997, but now this is $19.99. But did I buy it? Yes. But did I have a coupon? Absolutely, I did. So, you know, it's one of those things that, like, I love being able to collect things, but I'm very specific now about what I'm collecting, just because, like, I literally just loaded everything I own into a storage unit because of a job that's coming up. So it's just like anything I bought recently. It was like I found a Kate Bishop pop the other day that came with Lucky the Pizza Dog, and I was like, well, I clearly have to get that. But yeah, just because more just for, I love Kate, but it's more for Lucky than anything. But you know, it's one of those, like, the one thing I don't have is the ugly Bandai doll of Wicked Lady or Black Lady from like 1995. And I found her a lot recently. She's actually been very prevalent. I will not spend $300 on a doll in a box.
Oh, no. Well, okay. I
was like, I'll spend 100. I'm not spending 200.
I say that, but I know for a fact that I just, not too long ago, about 6 months ago, I bought, and you'll know this, the flocked orange bird pop.
How much did you spend on it?
$230 on it.
Oh, I mean, the thing is,
yeah,
it was super limited. It was a con exclusive, and people want to get what they want to get for it, and it is rare to find a cheaper price. So if it's something, also just a shout out to Holly, she's the only person that I think loves Orange Bird more than I do.
I do have a lot of Orange Bird stuff. I've kind of scaled back a little bit on Orange Bird, just a little bit of late, just because I've been kind of not a big fan of what Disney's doing. But like, Orange Bird is still my I want to say my girl, but we don't really know the Orange Bird's gender, so we'll just say my.
They don't need a gender. Yeah,
they're a bird.
Well, and it's also they've started mass producing some merchandise for Orange Bird, which is great. but it's not always cute. Like when I had an annual pass, Holly would always be like, "So you going to the parks? Can you send me photos?" I'm like, "I got you, girl. Don't worry."
Oh yeah. So last year during the Flower and Garden Festival, which is where they produce most of the Orangeburg stuff, they have been producing a Spirit jersey. And 2 years ago, you bought the one for me, and I loved it. I still wear it. But last year's was like really gross.
It was not cute. Yeah, everything for it was not adorable, and that's why I went that first day. And you were like, "This is what I want," and I was like, "Oh, I want a lot of things." And then I ended up not buying a single thing that first day because I went, "I don't like any of this," and the bucket hat was too small for my big old head, and I just went, "Okay, this is fine, I guess."
I got the pit. I think, did you get me the picture, or somebody got me the picture?
I didn't get you the picture, but I know, well, you were talking about wanting it, but you were like, I don't know yet. So no, I did not end up getting that one for you, but
I think someone gifted it to me. I didn't buy it, but someone gifted me that.
Which is the best way to go.
That was my thing for this, but that's kind of the big thing about figures, and we'll go back to Sailor Moon figures just to kind of I know we're
back around. Circle back around.
I, with the exception of Mercury, because Mercury has become my kind of senshi du jour. That's not true. My senshi of choice, because it's not of the day; it's of forever. If there's a figure that I want that's not a Sailor Mercury figure, I'll usually pass on it now, because I've been told I'm impossible to buy for. Because if there's something that I like, I buy it. It's bad. I do the same thing. So this year I'm kind of doing this thing where it's like, with the exception of Mercury, because I'm trying to complete a collection, and with the exception of wall art, which I know no one's going to go to a con and buy wall art like this for me, I can do that on my own. Everything else I'm just going to chill on and let people buy it for me, so that way they can gift it if they want. And if they don't gift it to me, that's fine. I mean, I don't need it. I don't need any of this stuff, but I also don't need to spend a bunch of money on buying it, because I want to go to Japan. I've said this a million times, and I can't afford to go Japan if I'm spending $200 on figures. I want to be able to go to. I want to go to Juban, which Juban is the city where the girls live. It's a real suburb of Tokyo. Yes. Jyuuban. It's actually got another name. It's like Jubanasaki. I can't remember the full name, but all of those buildings in the show are really there. Like the mall is really there. The park with the fountain and the clock is really there. The Osa-P store that her mom, Naru's mom works at selling jewelry, is there. And so people are saying crazy when I'm like, oh, I want to go to this, and I want to go to Juban, and they're like, why do you want to go there? And I'm like, because it's Sailor Moon's home, and I need to take pictures there, and you need to recognize that. Like, I need to take a picture in front of cram school, and I know it's there, and I'll find it.
Well, I've always said the same thing, that I want to do a little Sailor Moon tour, and then I have to do a Digimon tour as well, from like some iconic spots from Digimon, just because that's another love of mine. But yeah, no, and it's, oh God, it's one of those, I don't want to sound like a typical like weeby kid, but I'm just like, Japan, like I want to go, one, because I'm not supporting the Western part of the company, I have to go to Tokyo Disneyland again, just because like I have
not to. Disney. It's not
exactly. Well, and specifically, I want to go to Disney Sea because it is otherworldly. But I also I want to go do crane arcades. I just want to go Gaspo finding. I want to go Gaspo hunting. All of these little things I want to do.
What's Gaspo hunting? What's that?
They're the little the little quarter machine.
Oh, Gachapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but just go different hunting of those through the different arcades and things to just find all the cute ones I like, and also just bring back cute things that again,
I already know I'm bringing an extra suitcase with me.
Oh,
full of shit. That
well, because I also know I'm gonna have to go to the Pokemon Center and spend far too much money.
Well, I'm gonna add the Ghibli Museum and Toei Animation Museum to my list. I know they're gonna have stuff there that I want. So I'm crap.
And the Ghibli theme park is opening next year or this coming year. So yeah, they're doing a huge, it's like a world of Ghibli. It's set up like Magic Kingdom, but it's all the Ghibli stuff.
I can hang out with Ponyo. I want to hang out with Ponyo.
Well, I mean, I know you can hang out with Totoro. That's a thing.
Yeah, I can hang out with Totoro at any con. There's always a Totoro thing.
Okay, but that Totoro, you don't know if that Totoro is going to be creepy or not.
I will say this, having watched all of the Ghibli films so far, with the exception of 10, I can say far and away a sneak preview to my rankings that are coming out that Ponyo is going to be in the top 5. It's probably in the top 3.
I love Ponyo so much. It's so cute. It's so cute.
It's going to be hard to be Spirited Away though. That movie.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, as we're getting in, we've talked a little bit about that there are several arcs of Sailor Moon, several different series, one of which has still never come to America in an official like dub release and kind of these things. So like an official release.
Are you talking about season 5?
Stars, yeah.
It's out. It's just not on streaming services, but you can watch the dub.
Okay.
It's there. I went and bought the DVD sets so I could watch the dub.
Oh, I see. That's something I would, because I have a bootleg of the Japanese from thousands of years ago that I bought at Otakon. But it's, and they introduce so many gorgeous characters that are villains, but then they end up not being villains and all these things. So for you, as you're looking through, what is, like, if you had to pick one arc or series that you just love the most of all, whether it be the characters, the villains, what is kind of your standout series?
Darkmoon Circus. Darkmoon Circus.
So Super S, yeah.
Super S, and also the Eternal movie, if you're watching the Crystal version. But yes, Darkmoon Circus has not one but two groups of villains in it, like immediately. Like you've got Tiger Eye, Hawkeye, Fixed Eye, and then you have the girls, the Amazons. Thank you, the Amazon troop, who if you read the manga eventually become Chibi Moon's Senshi, which is rad.
It is rad, and they keep their weird circus hair, which I'm kind of still obsessed with.
So good.
Well, I mean, you also get Pegasus in that series, and like it's just
people shit on Pegasus a lot, but like they shouldn't. Like it's such a cool, like, okay, I've been told that it is the worst of the series, and I disagree. The first half of R is the worst series because that tree arc is terrible and it should never existed. But
Alan and Anne are not great characters. I don't
know.
Like it's not great.
But like I'm not a hater of Chibiusa, and I'm not a hater of that little arc, only because it's like cool to see her get like a romance story, and also Sailor Stars crushes you. If you watch Sailor Stars at any time soon, it's gonna break your damn heart. Because I know not in it. Like
he's not. Yeah. It's
and then you got to deal with Seiya, with Sailor Star Fighter, muscling in on Mamo's territory, even though they're gender ambiguous, which I love. I love the fact that there's trans representation, even though they may not have tried to do that, but there definitely is.
Yep.
But I don't. That being said, I don't want Seiya anywhere near Usagi. That's Mamo's girl. Goddammit, and you better move from her. Better step up. There are lots of girls to choose from. There's 4 more Senshis right over there. They're all great. Although I keep calling him Greg. It's not his name. That's his name in the American show. Ami's boyfriend, whose name is Ryu or something like that. There's only two men that can have Ami's heart. It's Ryu, the smarter genius kid. And there's there's the Kings of Earth, who are the villains in season 1. Who, if you watch Crystal or if you read the anime or read the manga, you realize that those are actually King and Prince Endemion's Senshi. Like they're his fighters. They're like the protectors of the Earth Kingdom. And all of the Senshi dated them. Like
of course they did. Why wouldn't they?
They're the betrothed to the Senshi, and they all got corrupted by Beryl. But God, this show's so bonkers, and the lore is so deep.
It is absolutely bonkers. But that's the best part of it, in my opinion.
Besides those two, there's only one person that'll ever want to be with Ami, and that is Makoto Kino. Goddamn Sailor Jupiter.
Yes.
Is Ami's one true pair. And if you watch the episode from the original series where she's like, I just want to dance, and Ami comes and goes, I'll dance with you. It's over. I know what this is. A little insight into kind of my brain a little bit. I love Sailor Mercury, but I am Sailor Jupiter. Like if you kind of know me at all, like I am a Sagittarius. I'm tall, I'm bigger than most, that is my kind of temperament. Like I love cooking and plants and stuff. But they're a thing. They should be together. And it's like, I get it. Like, wouldn't it be awesome to have 2 lesbian couples on the show instead of just the one? But anyway, we have digressed into a weird ass tangent.
Oh no. Well, No, I'm glad you brought up one of my favorite pairings in all of anime, which is Neptune and Uranus, because S for me is my I love it so much. It's also the first Sailor Moon series that I watched like from start to finish, like intentionally. I had a friend, shout her out, Heather Kropp, amazing girl that I grew up with. She would record a week at a time of Toonami, bring me the VHS at church, and I could then watch it quietly in the morning before school. So I didn't get in trouble because my mom was very anti-anime. And I was like, I would draw little black stars all over myself. Like it was because like Mistress Nine, bad bitch. We love Mr. Also the witches were incredible. Great designs.
I think the witches are probably my third favorite group of enemies, followed very closely by the all of the animates from Sailor Stars.
They're my absolute favorite because and then in high school, the first manga I read, because they had done, maybe it was like as they were releasing or they had just re-released them, was the 3 Sailor Stars manga. Again, the whole last series is 3 issues of manga, and they do a whole lot in that show, and they do a whole lot in that manga in 3 issues. So it made a ton of sense when like Sailor, or it's like Lead Mouse, I think, is around for a ton of episodes of the anime just because it's just like, oh, well, we can pull it out. But then they also leave out my favorite character in the anime. So I'm a little butthurt about that because Heavy Metal Papillon is, oh, shit, her character design's so good. She's such a bitch.
They reference her once. When they're talking, Galaxia is talking to the animators, it's like, well, you don't want to happen to Papillon happen to you or something like that, and that's it. Like that's all they talk about.
Yep. But no, I think for me, it's just because S I watched start to finish. I loved it. I think I love Saturn's story. I really the original 5, my girls. I love the Inner Scouts, but the Outer Scouts, like Chaos Mom, Devil Child, and my wonderful lesbians. It doesn't get better until you get the Starlights. Like it's so good. And especially if you're watching the anime, the sexual tension is just so good. But remember, they're just cousins.
They're only cousins. They're just cousins that touch a lot and kiss a little bit. That's fine. And live
save
together.
Each other. Yep. Oh yeah. And have like prolonged touching and staring in the middle of aquariums. So if anyone doesn't know what we're referencing, when Sailor Moon S was on TV in America on Toonami, we meet Uranus and Neptune. Uranus, who is a very masculine presenting person. Neptune, who's very soft and feminine and musician. Uranus, who throws the hearts of all the Inner Scouts just on the ground, stomps in the middle, like he's so pretty, and everybody's like, oh wait, what? And so they are girlfriends. They are in a committed eternal partnership, if you will. They love each other very much, but in America, they're cousins, don't you know? Because weren't their names like Alex and Michelle too? Like
I don't know. And I don't like
she's Michiru in the Japanese, but
and Haruko and Michiru. Like I go exclusively by the Japanese names.
Yeah, I will only go with the American if I can't remember.
I know Ami is called Amy, which bugs me, and I know Ray is called Ray, but they spell it different, And then Usagi is Serena, which spoils the whole damn thing. Anyway, I'll go a little deeper than what you said too, just to give context to the listeners.
Do it.
So the original series, when it came out, the people that brought it over, Deke and that whole group, was like, they watched the series. They're like, we're not going to be able to show this on American audiences because all of the references are Japanese. They won't get it. So they proceeded to go through and not only scrub out all of the queer stuff, they scrubbed anything that was purely Japanese out of it, including some very important things to plots. And also like whole episodes disappeared because they were about spiritual things that only Japanese people know about. And then they proceed to completely, wash it of anything that has to do with queerness and anything that's slightly deviant to, the waspy minds of white parents in the Midwest. And then they put it out. And Nako Takeuchi hated the dub. like absolutely thought it was the most garbage dub she'd ever watched. She'd never proceeded to finish the dubbing. In terms of watching it, when Deke lost the rights and it went to Cloverway is the ones that were a Canadian company, tried to fix it a little bit, but also were the ones responsible for the Cousins thing that was part of the Cloverway dub. And then they just didn't air season 5 because we can't have boys that turn into girls. We can't have that. So we got to cancel the whole thing. So that's why we have in the 90s when Viz buys the rights, they go to Naoko and they're like, hey, this is an amazing property. We love it exactly as it is. Can we just redub it? And they bring in amazing voice actresses. They bring in the lovely Stephanie Sheh. They bring in Christina V, former Jungle Cruise skipper, Christina V. If in case you didn't know, they bring in Kate Higgins, who I'm probably gonna meet next month. They're bringing all these like amazing talent in. Sharami Lee, Robbie Draymond, who's now on Critical Role, plays Tuxedo. Great voice actors, and it's such an improvement. Not only because the voice acting is better, the characters are restored back to their original selves with the original characters, and all of the references to Japan are back, everything. So you have a true translation of what it was supposed to be if you're watching in the Japanese, which is why I am a Viz dub watcher, because I'm a purist and I enjoy it. And I will never, ever accept the cousins thing. Not even if you're like, well, it was my childhood. No, they're not cousins. They're in love. Lesbians are fine. And you need to get over that shit right now.
Also, I feel like it's only a straight person that's going to be like, but the cousins thing, it was fine for kids. You know, with kids, you don't want to, it's like, you're fine with Usagi and Mamoru being together from the first moment and finding love and being the eternal king and queen together, and their child dropping in the second series with a gun to her father's head. Might I add, again, another bonkers fucking thing about this show.
I will, and on top of that, you're okay with the fact that Mamoru, who is a college student, is dating Usagi, who is a middle schooler.
Oh,
and you have no problem with that, which is also a change because it was supposed to be Usagi's a high schooler and Usagi a middle schooler. They're only 3 years apart. It's a big difference. 17 to 14 is way different than 20 to 14, and you know it.
Yes. Oh, very different. Very different. Very different. I just this is filling me with just such warm fuzzies because this show, and we're not even talking about the kings, the great kings of Earth, who they just straight up said we can't have this one be gay, so we'll make him a woman. Literally, like I just.
But then again, that same exact season, his friend is totally okay hitting on Naru and like being this like weird, creepy May, December, but switched like relationship with like, oh, I'm a big curly haired man with a sports car, but I'm going to hit on you, middle schooler, and it's totally fine. But those guys, no, they can't be in love with each other. Split them up, make that a girl. Yeah.
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, evangelicals are marrying their 16-year-old child brides. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's fine. But the anime is the devil. It's going to bring down modern society. It's going to bring down the modern society.
Y'all just better watch VeggieTales. That's all you gotta watch, all right?
Listen, I stand some VeggieTales. I listen. It's like the most secular Christian thing ever. Like, I attest a lot of my contemporary humor to VeggieTales. So we talked about villains a little bit already, but let's launch in. So you said you got like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So give me who are your favorite villains, kind of in order, and kind of why they're your favorite villains.
Okay, this is gonna be hard. So one is the Tiger Eye, Fish Eye, Hawkeye. They have a name. They're the Amazons. They're the Amazon trio.
Yeah, they're the Amazon trio.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the other ones are the Amazon Quartet.
The Amazon Quartet, yeah. So yeah, the Amazon trio is first. I love Fish Eye to death. Fish Eye is my all-time queen, and he rocks the shit out of everything because he's like, I just like being a girl, so I'm gonna do it. And everyone loves me because I'm hot, and I love
stunningly beautiful, stunningly
beautiful. Gorgeous. And then I was like, yeah, but I'm a guy, whatever. And he's like that one like fashion model. He's like taking off his shirt, and he's just got like a bare like guy's chest. I'm like, you can't do that. He's like, why? I'm a guy, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah,
perfect. Super good. The Amazonesses or the Amazon Quartet, number 2. The Animates easily number 3. The Black Moon clan, Super 4. They're even kind of 1 and 1A with the animates in terms of part 3. I think they're both very good. 5 would probably be. And here's where it gets tricky, because like I like the Kings of Heaven. I like those guys a lot, but they're not really villains to me because I just see them as corrupted heroes. So I'm gonna put Prince Demond and his the Black Moon clan. God, I'm not gonna put Aelin Ann in there. Screw that. I guess it's the Kings of Earth. I guess it has to be.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I'm missing a group though. I feel like I'm missing a group. Why?
No, you're not, because there's that's everybody. I mean, because you mentioned the Animates in Galaxia, you mentioned the Amazon Quartet, the Amazon Trio, you mentioned the Witches. You missed the Witches.
Oh, I did miss the Witches. Thank you. The Witches are better than Kings of Earth for sure. Yeah.
Well, just because they're so bonkers and mean, like they're just like I know we shouldn't talk like this, but they would just be like, "Oh, you're such a fat cow," and I'd be like, "I love you. I love everything about you."
Talk mean to me.
Yeah, I think I became a sassy bitch because of the Witches 5. Like they are like just so ridiculous and like hair on point. If you told me they were a group of drag queens, I'd probably believe you.
I mean, there's probably a lot of people that could be drag queens in Sailor Moon, let's be honest.
Clearly.
And some people that are drag queens, like Fisheye.
Yeah, Fisheye, Queen
Fish, for Christ's sake.
It's true. Well, Queen Beryl.
For sure.
Like I see her, I see Divine. Like it's one of those things, like she's just like a very elevated version of like Divine, but like that sleek purple dress with the like, it's the same thing I love about Rita Repulsa. They're just like so bonkers, but like so glamorous and wonderful. I was like, but of course she found them 4 most beautiful men who were attached to a king and queen and said, "You're mine now." Yeah. Like something I like about the villains from a storytelling standpoint, we understand the stakes of what they're doing in most situations, and they really kind of keep elevating the stakes for us in many ways of like, yes, they're always trying to take over the universe, but like there's always ulterior motives to that. And I really appreciate that about an anime villain, because sometimes an anime villain is just like, ah, ha ha ha, power, I shall destroy you all because I can. And it's like
it's like Nehelenia, right? Like Nehelenia is just her goal is to destroy the Silver Moon Kingdom, everyone part of it, because she didn't have friends. Like how dark is that? Like I don't have any friends, so fuck the universe.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
Only really Galaxia, and Galaxia is the only reason that Galaxia is so far off is because she swallowed chaos. Like she literally took all of the evil in the world and was like, I'll just put this all inside me so it's not in the world anymore. This is a good plan, right?
It's like what happens when the Phoenix Force comes to Sailor Moon. Like truly, like it's their version of a Phoenix Force story from X-Men. But Galaxia is stunning. She's beautiful. I like the animates because we're starting to see like they call themselves the sailor, like maybe this was just the thing, but like calling themselves like the sailor.
They are. That's the part about that series is like they are Sailor Scouts, like Sailor Galaxia, Sailor Iron Mouse, Sailor Tin Nyonko. Like they're all the same kind of sailors in the way that the Senshi are sailors, but they're just corrupted versions of it created by all evil, which is kind of cool. And also the best part about that season is the monsters from Monster of the Week are the most absurd monsters. I'm a teacher now. Nope, now you're a phage. Guess what? You're a sailor teacher. I'm gonna kill you with like erasers. Stupid, like Sailor Sports Star. Like they're just dumb versions of like the thing that the person was, and the Sailor Stars, we're just gonna fucking murder them. They're like, they're dead now. And Sailor Moon's like, no, I got this, and changes them back to human. But before that, if Sailor Moon wasn't there, all those people would just be dead. Just be dead. Because the Sailor Stars would just hack them to death with their powers. Which is something so interesting, because like when we meet the Outer Scouts, they're very flat and like we've got to do our duty to like do the thing. And
are a little group together, but it's also like they're doing things out of duty because they have to. And then when we then meet the like Sailor Starlights, it's like, oh shit, y'all are pop stars who just do, oh, you're just gonna okay, great.
They're really pop stars to try to get their message to their princess. I mean, that's really
it's true. Like, it's true. But I love
love.
I will also say that I love a transformation device, and Sailor Moon has some of the most fun. And of course, everybody gets powered up. Everybody's bows get a little bigger. Everybody gets a star. They get a heart instead of circles at one point. It's one of those things. I just love a little upgrade, like cute little upgrades. I love them. And Sailor Moon has a lot of them. Now, talk about things that are far too expensive for me to collect. It is the Bandai reproductions of all of those. But
excuse me a second. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just over here, just casually walking over to hear. Are you talking about these?
No. The actual like wands. Like
the
wands.
The
wands. Those are beautiful though. I just bought the Eternal Sailor Moon one the other day at my local anime shop. We have this giant. It clearly used to be like pharmacy or something. It's called K-pop in USA, shouting them out. Not a sponsor or anything, but I love your store. But they had the Eternal Sailor Moon figure, and she was a really reasonable price. And I was like, I need some beautiful Usagi in my life. So she's in my storage unit. She's still in the box, but they're not. I think I paid $25 or $30 for it, and I was like, that's I can afford that I can do.
Yeah, as opposed to there's one figure of and it's absolutely gorgeous, but a Sailor Mercury on a pedestal, but like around her is like water swirling, and I want it so bad, but it's $350.
Of course, it's one of those. I'm like, I respect anyone who can afford that, but like, I'm a weeb on a dime over here.
I will say this: you're not the only person that might be getting a new job, and if I get this new job, one of the first splurges is I'm going to go online and find that damn figure and get it.
Yes, do it. And you know what? It's one of those things that, everybody gives anime. I brought up filler earlier. We've talked about kind of filler, but like they always made a fun time, that it was fun in the show. They didn't always really waste it. Again, we're exploring these characters for who they are. We're exploring what the show thought of humans and like the Japanese public and kind of the world as a contemporary entity at the time. And a lot of those filler episodes do it, especially when we like get Ray's episodes where we actually learn a lot about like spirituality and like the idea of religion versus a faith spiritual system in Japan, which I love. I mean, for a long time, I had a friend the other day, it was like, I thought she just had paper power. I was like, okay, clearly you don't. Okay, I'll give you that. But like, it's, something that, I mean, I think anime has gotten a really bad rap for having filler. Now you have certain shows like Bleach or Naruto that do entire arcs that are nothing but filler. But I think Sailor Moon even utilizes a way of like something that could be negative, like filler. They utilize it in a beautiful way. Is there anything kind of looking at the show that as you've kind of watched and rewatched that you wish the original had done a little different?
Yeah, I wish they would have. That's a real good question. Damn. Hitting the hard questions, Matty. I wish they would have given more time to some of the backstory lore of the Silver Millennium. And they did do a pretty good job in the first place, but there's still a lot more deeper depth that gives a lot more to the characters. I wish they would have never done the tree arc. I wish they would just skip that completely, because it is your filler arc for Sailor Moon, but it does kind of give a little bit in terms of like character wise. But yeah, I think every episode beyond that is absolutely necessary in the 300 that are out. I'm not going to say it's a perfect anime because it's very problematic. There's a lot of things that like the weight loss episode is real problematic. But they're not all going to be great, right. But I don't like excusing things as product of their time, but it's a product of the time and the product of their country at the time. And it's a snapshot. And I don't think they should change it. I think they should learn from it. That's like anything, should always learn from their mistakes. And I feel like they have, because those things don't exist in Crystal. So they've definitely gone through and kind of taken a look at that kind of stuff. But it's few and far between. It's few and far between for what the show is and how long it is. And and it's not repetitive. Like for being a
Mhm.
monster of the week, that's the one thing about monster of the week shows that are rough, is that a lot of the same time, like you're like, yeah, you battle this monster, but it's not more powerful than that monster you battled 2 seasons ago.
Mhm.
And so you have this trick of like, oh, we better power up our supers to power these bigger and badder monsters all the time. Sailor Moon doesn't do that. If anything, it weakens the heroes a little bit.
Mhm.
And yes, Sailor Moon does eventually find her way into like being Neo Queen Serenity and everything, but like it takes a long time for her to get there. And you get to realize that she's just a little girl who doesn't want
Mhm.
this. Like
Yeah.
she didn't ask to be the hero of the universe, and she never wanted it. And she hates seeing her friends, her family, people that she doesn't know get hurt. And it's
Mhm.
emotionally taxing for her. Every time someone dies, every time a villain dies, it's taxing to her.
Mhm.
And you see that. For anyone who's had mental health issues like myself, like that's trauma, and you're
Mhm.
seeing her trauma, and you're seeing her deal with the trauma and survive it through the power of friendship. And that's not just a cliche, the power of friendship. Like
Right.
literally, she's leaning on her friends to help her through this. And that's 100% Naoko Takeuchi, because she did that. She lived that. She's like, I need this person in my life. I'm going to create them. Oh, I'm going to create 5 of them. I'm going to create 11 of them. I'm going to create 30 of them.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, I think it's really important that it shows that the strength of even an all-powerful character isn't that they're all powerful, it's their support system, and that Usagi's support system continued to grow. And many times her friends literally sacrifice themselves in order to make sure that she is strong enough to save the day, because they know that she will bring them back, or that they will, they're also, it's the one thing I kind of thought was beautiful at the end of the first season of Crystal, spoilers for Crystal, that they were teen girls who were like, if this is the end of our lives, we've done something very important and we are okay with that. And that was something so, like, I probably cried through the last 2 episodes of Crystal because I thought it was beautiful. I thought their storytelling aspects for those girls really strengthened what we had lost by not having episodes exploring each of them necessarily. But in those moments of seeing just their undying love and support for Usagi as a friend was just so amazing, and just kind of leaning into the fact that they are her knights, they are her support system, they are her team, which I love.
Also, on top of that, it shows the real power of women, and
Mhm.
like how a woman will know, like Usagi knows, like she may not want to do it, she may not be able to, but she knows that she's the only one that can.
Mhm.
And like when she goes in there and walks out of the cloud with baby Saturn in her arms, and she's like this is a different person, that's the crybaby in the klutz. And you're like, she's a goofball, she's kind of a little spaz out, but like honestly, she's the person that we needed right now. And
Mhm.
she knew it, and she took that on her burden on herself,
Mhm.
and she fucking did it. And
Mhm.
she can do it, I can do it, you can do it, anybody can do it.
Yep.
And it's amazing to watch. That's tears. That'll
Yeah.
bring tears to you,
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely. So there's also a really interesting aspect of Sailor Moon that it's a very Japanese thing, which is live stage musicals. And
Oh
there
God,
are
yeah.
a ton of them. And this is something that I found. And again, we're both musical theater people, we're theater people. The musicals are so chintzy, but I am obsessed with them, and they've become super accessible in the last few years. It's really easy to find the performances online, and so some of them rehash seasons of the show. They rehash certain things, but like they're really fun, and like that it's pop music, it's music written for it, it's in the Takarazuka school of performance style, so it's typically an all-female cast, which is amazing, even playing the men's roles. And like they do like the transformations and things, and they just make it work, and they lean into the camp, like it's the thing that makes it like fun but then makes it purely camp for me.
Yeah.
And in a way that like I can excuse that, I'm like, oh, clearly we none of the girls are on stage right now, we're getting a movement between, because we need about 3 minutes for them to change into their costumes. And then they do really clunky transformations, but I don't care because it's so much fun. And that's something that's like, every time there's like a giant thing, or we see broadcasts from Japan, or we see live performances, the people, like, they're always giant crowds. The people love it. They are supporting it. And I think that's so much fun. I think it's so important. It even came to New York a few years ago. They brought one of the shows to New York, and I was just like, I never thought this would happen in my lifetime, that they would bring one of and the costumes are a little different. They're totally grandiose. They're all edged in glitter and gold, and they've got the different accessories and things. And it's something that is, I mean, they've done it, like, there's so many of the animes that actually have stage stories, and there are a ton of Naruto. There's a really cool One Piece super kabuki where they embrace kabuki, and then it's all one piece. It's really fucking cool. Like,
something that Japan loves and we don't love as much here in the States. But that show you're talking about is back on May 14th in New York, by the way, for the Japanese Cultural Festival. I saw a picture for it, and like,
don't tell me that, because I'm gonna be like, clearly I can call out of work for 2 days and fly to New York to see this.
I need you to do that, Matty. I need you to go for me, because I can't. I'm on the West Coast and I'm poor. So please go for me.
I'm also poor, but like, oh God. That would be so much fun. One day. Honestly, it's one of those things I really want to see it. Well, it's also because, like, they just did the Spirited Away play. I'm so excited that it's going to be broadcast on Hulu. We're going to be able to watch it because, yes, it's going to be on Hulu. And I'm so excited because the puppetry looks cool. The design is fucking cool. And it's just the thing I always love. And I look forward to like, they just released a new promo, or it's a promo of the most recent Sailor musical that's based around Sailor Moon Crystal. And it's just beautiful. It just looks stunning. The wigs are always so good. All the actresses look so good. Most of them are pop stars, or they're pop star adjacent. Like, it's just something that's so fun. Now
they had a full-on Sailor Moon cafe in Tokyo that closed. It was a casualty of the pandemic, but I saw a video from it and was like, it's the performers, like basically musical level performers, doing like a like Ellen's Stardust Cafe version of Sailor Moon, like walking. For those who have not from New York, that's like a diner where people sing, the waiters sing. It's evidently not very fun, but it exists. But this is like the girls will come out and like do a stage show, a little battle, and then they'll come out and talk to the guests on the tables while they're all eating Sailor Moon food, and like they have the whole kit and caboodle. And they just
It's all I want in life. It's all
and
I
it
want.
closed. And I'm like, why did it close? Bring it back. How much do I have to pay to bring it back? I want it. I want it. I love
it so much. Now, something else that we also haven't talked about. Sailor Moon got what I call the Super Sentai treatment, or the Kamen Rider treatment, in the middle of the aughts, like early 2003, 4, 5-ish time. And they had a single season of a live action Sailor Moon series. Have you watched it?
I haven't watched it because I'm still trying to figure out how to watch it. I know the website that it's on, but like it requires you to download it through a torrent. I don't have the ability to do.
It used to all be on YouTube, and that's how I watched it. Like right after the release, before YouTube really cracked down on stuff. And so
I want to watch it real bad, because there's a character that I really want to watch and study, and I think you know which character I'm talking about.
Oh, Dark Sailor Mercury?
Dark Mercury, who is the most badass costume design I've ever seen. I'm like, Dark Mercury? What?
The show is weird. It's very strange, because like we get a Chibiusa character in the first season, but it's Luna as a Sailor Scout. So it's like sentient cat Luna, but Luna's also, when we see Luna otherwise, she's a literal plush. Like there were certain things that they try to make work for the time. That all the girls get transformation watches instead of the wands. Now, something I really did like about that series, all of the girls look like normal Japanese schoolgirls. And then when they transform, they get the anime hair. And I was like, honestly, that's so cool, because how do you actually protect your identity other than like, and it was really cute part of the actual transformations. But like, it was a little weird. I didn't love that they really didn't. So it's not really a spoiler. It's also been out like 20 years. But yeah, the girls don't appreciate Ami in the way that they do in the anime. And so she really falls to Nephalite very quickly. And like Beryl brings her in, and she very quickly becomes, not quickly, because it's the second arc of the series. But yeah, she's just like, my friends hate me and I fucking hate my friends, so can I kill them please? And they were just like, yeah, let's do it. And she gets her dark transformation. But like, it's a really cool end of the season arc. Now, something they also do in that is Princess Serenity, Neo Queen Serenity, is part of Usagi, but she's a being who then like possesses her body. And her whole thing is when she decides that the earth is no longer worthy, that the people of earth have fallen to the darkness, she literally wipes out all life on the planet and starts it over. Like she's a god. Like that is her whole ability. And so the last couple episodes are them fighting Beryl and Dark Mercury, but also them stopping Usagi when she fully slips into Serenity. And she's like, none of you are worthy. I'm sorry. You'll be reborn when the time is right, but I can't fucking stand this planet.
Wow.
Oh, it's so stupid, but it's really great. They did an honestly great job with the monsters being real people. And some of them are like beat for beat the anime. Like the first episode is Naru's mom. It's real, you know, it's the cafe is adorable. Something else they do in that series is like Venus is hard. Like she's a pop star. So like, but she's really mean to them. And she literally is like, you're useless. I'm clearly Sailor Moon and you're no longer needed. And sends Usagi away and has her own like Tiara Sailor Venus transformation. But like Sailor V exists in the show too. It's really interesting in many ways. Mamoru is
so bad.
Mamoru is so hot. But then they also did a special that ended the series that is their wedding. It's about their wedding. So they never transform. They aren't the Sailor Scouts in it at that point, but it's like following like Mamoru realizing that he's actually in love with her, but like they're also fulfilling a cosmic purpose. And so they really just focus on beautiful scenes that recreate all of the like ending beautiful flowing dress art from the show, like the original anime. And so like I think it's literally like 23 episodes, the whole series. What I would do is, you know how there's always like DVD bootleggers at conventions still? I would see if any of them have a DVD of it for like 20 or 30 bucks because it would be worth having. Yeah, it would. But I'm sure also if anybody out there knows where we could find it, because I know some of you are huge Weeby Sailor Moon fans, like send it to me and Holly because I would love to revisit the show because it's been about 20 years since I watched it. So I would love to rewatch. You can see clips of it, but there's also like, I'll put it on our social media, the Dark Mercury transformation, because it's very cool. It's very, very cool.
I will say this though, I have enough source material that when I finally do watch the show, I have enough to take my Sailor Mercury cosplay and make it into a Dark Mercury cosplay.
You should.
So, but I want to look better in my Sailor Mercury cosplay before I start the Dark Mercury. I got to fix up some of the hem wrong issues and like kind of fix some of the.
Or that's when you save a little and you just get someone, because I know there are some amazing costume people out there. Get someone to build one for you that's in exactly your measurements.
Oh, that would be great.
If
I had money,
it's the dream.
If only I had money to pay an artist to do this.
If only everything wasn't so incredibly expensive currently. Fabric's so expensive. Now, something I want to posit for us. About 10 years ago, Warner Brothers had said that they had acquired the rights for an American live action Sailor Moon movie. There was never casting announced. They didn't get that far. At one point, I think Alexis Bledel was tied to maybe play Usagi or the Usagi character. I know. What are your thoughts about the idea of a Western Sailor Moon film or television show? Well,
they tried it at one point, allegedly.
Oh, literally the original is, oh yeah, well, okay, tell the story, because that's I was gonna bring it up earlier and then it totally left my brain. So bring this up.
Yeah, so it's considered lost media because nobody's ever found any of the actual footage except the trailer for it. The trailer for this screened at a anime convention in 2005. I don't know. But a company called Toon Makers legitimately found they acquired the rights to do Sailor Moon in the US as a TV show. And they made a kind of Sabrina the Teenage Witch-esque show, but like not the new
Melissa
one,
Joan Hart, yeah.
Right, the old school one. Combined with like very 90s animation, and like made this like really bonkers version of Sailor Moon. We're kids in a high school having fun, but also saving the world when we're cartoons, and we've got one white cat, and it's like a bizarro Sailor Moon world. It's like, what if Sailor Moon was born in America and was bad at things, but like charming bad, like Usagi is, but like bad and like not good at being a Sailor Scout.
Yep.
But we don't really know. And like, there's a great documentary article on this on YouTube and also like written out of this girl that legit went everywhere. She went to the head of Tune Maker. She went to all the people that were involved in the deal and were like, do you have a copy of the pilot episode? We need to find the pilot episode. And they cannot find it. And I'm hoping one day, like in some random warehouse, someone's going to come across this thing that says Sailor Moon and it's the pilot episode of this. And the world will be able to find this again, because I feel like we need it. Not because it's going to be good or we want to make a series out of it, but just because we need to know that how bad it was. I think.
Well, and it's very 90s in the way that it's like every one of her friends is a different race. It's very Jim and the Holograms in many ways. And Sailor Mars or Mercury are in a wheelchair, and she's still in a wheelchair when she transforms. They have these like sky gliders that are shaped like moons, like they're on these like space glider things. Again, Queen Beryl is like really strange looking, and like they go to the moon and it's like craggy and things and not beautiful. Yeah, but it looks very much like Babysitter's Club meets Teenage Witch, and with a little like Teen Witch thrown in there, with then the animation of like Gem and the Holograms and Sky Dancers. Like it's bong. So you know what's really funny though? I own 3 cells from it, animated cells from it.
Really?
They were on eBay. I have one of Beryl, one of like Sailor Moon holding the white cat, and then one of the logo that I bought on eBay for about $20 a piece about 7 years ago. Oh yeah, I've started collecting cells because there's also this great company called Animation Legends, and they've essentially buy up old companies that are just like throwing out things. They bought up all of these like spare like background cells, side cells, things, and so like I think it was like 5 from My Little Ponytails. It was like $25. And they're not always the best, but like they've even got Brave Little Toaster. They've got some like really cool stuff that they sell periodically. I think I have some from the Ewoks animated show as well. That's just very cool because those are just like strange things to own. But again, like these things exist, but even when you talk to people, nobody at Tune Makers really remembers this project. Like a lot of them talk about, like, they're just like, maybe it was a thing, but like, and the trailer. So, and also even the trailer that we have of it, the like spot with the really like poppy 90s theme song, it's someone recording it on video, watching it on their television. So I'll post that on our social media because I revisit that on YouTube every once in a while as well, just because it's ridiculous. But I would worry about a like gritty, like hard, like I feel like the closest we got to a Western Sailor Moon was Sucker Punch, and that wasn't very good. It was bad, and I feel like that's the level of like Western Sailor Moon we would get, and I don't want or need that.
Yeah, I think there could be a live action Sailor Moon movie that's not campy, but I feel like it would have to be made by like A24. It has to be made. I would only want it to be made with an all Japanese cast. Like I would want it to be because it's such an iconic Japanese property that like putting it, just whitewashing it and putting it in the West is like not good for anybody. Like it doesn't make the property better. It's gonna be like The Last Airbender, like the movie that shall not be named. It's like why would you do that when you have all this talent in that region who could easily do this? You've got a lot of filmmakers that could go out there and make a viable film with great effects and great story based on the original source material, and have a series of really amazing Japanese actresses and actors do it. That would be the only way I'd want it. I don't want Ghost in the Shell version of it.
No. I also think that like when you westernize something like this that is so specific, a love letter, but also references to the culture and the place that it's from, you lose so much of what makes that series. I feel like the same thing of like if we got an Evangelion or something as well. Like there's certain things that I think are lost in translations. Don't even get me started on like Death Note, the American Death Note that we got. Like there are also just things like it's what I say to Disney. We don't even always need a live action version of things. We don't need to necessarily make like Western versions of anime. Like they do such a beautiful job on their own, and like they've inspired so much like American animation. But it's like, let's let them keep doing what we're doing. If that means that we still get like Sailor Moon in that form, I don't need a live action Western version of it.
I mean, would I watch it? Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. But it was even like the American Film Company couldn't even get Jim and the Holograms right. So like you're certainly not going to get Sailor Moon correct. Like,
yeah. I still remain to this day the only live action cartoon adaptation that I've enjoyed has been Jody's and the Pussycats.
So good. That movie is so,
and only because it was completely a satire. Like it was a satire, and it was a commentary on capitalism and everything. And it's like, I get it, but also the music slapped.
As the kids say, they understood the assignment when they were making that movie. The fact that we didn't get a sequel is a crime, but also like,
I'm fine with it.
I'm so happy that movie exists in the way that it does. Also, just that cast is so good.
It holds up to you, by the way. Like I watched it like 2 years ago, and it's like, this movie's still great. Still great.
It is so, it's so great. But if anybody out there for some reason hasn't watched Sailor Moon, could you give them like what your byline would be of like why they should go visit it? It's all on Hulu. Like why you should go visit it.
Why you should go visit it. So with Sailor Moon, it is, like I said, it is one of the pantheon of the original major anime. But beyond that, it is a sweet story about friendship and love and trust and happiness. But it's also a great action story that has a lot of really great story beats and moments to it. And it's just the right amount of bonkers where it's not boring ever, because some weird shit's going to happen. Like you have a daughter that comes from the future who just happens to be 950 years old and can't age. Cool. Mm-hmm. We're good with that. All these things are meshed in, and you could watch it out of order if you needed to. Hell, lots of people did. Or you could watch it in sequential order, like you can, and it's very accessible. So why not give it a shot? You like me, I gave it a shot, and it became a part of my identity, and I don't see why anyone else couldn't be the same. So
I could not have said that better. Also, like, value yourself and just enjoy it. Also, like, Sailor Moon isn't the original magical girl anime, but like it set a precedence and it literally defined the genre. And so like, honestly, I'm a big proponent of a magical girl anime. Like, I love Sailor Moon, but I also love something that's so dark and ridiculous, like Madoka Magica. Like it's, or Yuki Yuna Saves the World, anything where it is just a doom and gloom magical girl story, but also like Cardcaptor Sakura, Magic Knight Rayearth, or even flipping it on its head with a show. It's a parody series called Cute High Earth Defense Club Love, which is a magical boy series. There's also Sanrio magical boy series. So like, this genre, it's so hopeful, it's so beautiful, but it's also so fun. I mean, you also have like Magical Do Re Mi, Pre-Tier, all these kinds of shows that are just like, in Sailor Moon, honestly, the success of Sailor Moon, I think, really defined this genre, and it really kind of sent it forward. And I am just so thankful for it and that it exists.
Yay.
Holly,
well, I couldn't have said that better at all. So you did.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you again so much for being on the show. This has been an absolute delight talking Sailor Moon with you for the last hour and a half.
So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Of course. Tell everyone at home again where they can find you on the interspace.
Yeah. So for now, my Instagram is Holly Mercury Cosplay. It's a fairly new account, so there's not much on it, but that's going to be where I'm going to have my public persona. My Twitter account is Sweetie Holly 99. You can find me on TikTok at Hollywood Scott 99. Yeah, there's a 99 in there. That's kind of like where I'm doing most of my stuff nowadays, is on the TikToks. And on the I have Facebook and stuff, but they're all kind of personal and private. Mm-hmm. So I don't shout those out, but you can find me if you want to see me perform. Every so often I'm on a show called Hazards and Hijinks, which is an improv D&D type show, which is on Twitch and also YouTube, Hazards and Hijinks. look me up there. And also, maybe I'll be at a con near you. Come say hi, take a picture with me, whatever I'm happen to be wearing that time. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully you like it. I don't know. We'll see.
We've made difficult decisions.
And there are still more ahead of us.
2 people aren't enough to save the galaxy.
We need the toughest,
Smartest.
deadliest allies.
We need you.
We need you to join us.
And listen to Reignite.
A certain point of view podcast about storytelling
Love.
and Mass Effect.
Join us every other Thursday as we fight for the fate of an entire galaxy.
You can find us everywhere you get your podcasts.
Or at certainpov.com/reignite.
We're counting on you.
We should go.
Have you ever seen something in a theater that you just couldn't explain?
Or have you ever thought about if dying really ain't that bad?
And do you spend sleepless nights wondering exactly what happened to Natalie Wood that night on the boat?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, then it's time for you to exit stage death.
Exit Stage Death is the chilling true stories behind your favorite Broadway shows, releasing bi-weekly on Tuesdays starting May 24th.
So if you want to find out which Broadway house is the most haunted,
Talk about what killed our favorite Broadway flops,
and learn about the murderous path of Mama Rose that took Gypsy Rose Lee to stardom,
it's time for Places, actors. Thank you, Places.
it's time to exit stage death. Saturday Morning Confidential is brought to you by Dreamer Productions and is a proud member of the Certain POV Podcast Network. You can find us on Facebook at Saturday Morning Confidential, on Instagram at SMC Pod, and on Twitter at The SMC Podcast. You can find all the shows that Certain POV has to offer at certainpov.com or also on Patreon at Dreamer Productions, where your donation of only $2 a month keeps constant programming coming in and supporting our new shows as we go throughout 2022. Now join us again next time for another deep dive into the files of Saturday Morning Confidential.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.